For daily Ask Reddit. Students of Reddit, what is your weirdest or NSFW thing you've caught a teacher doing? My middle school history teacher invited me to a concert in the woods in another state. We would have had to camp together if I went. This teacher gives me bad vibes. Me too, I don't want to know what would have happened if I went. This was in the 70s. Male history teacher in HS decided to tell us all our future careers. It was full of doctors and lawyers, until he got to the cute shy girl with big boobs. Lingerie model was her career. So wrong, I remember it 40 years later. Not necessarily NSFW, but I had a history professor who had a nervous habit of checking to make sure the zipper on his trousers was done every couple minutes. It was really distracting, and it looked like he was messing with his junk. In a slightly similar vein, I had a chemistry teacher who always wore incredibly tight lycra trousers and was forever adjusting himself by scratching his junk on the edge of his desk. He was referred to either as Dougie Tightpants or Bob Scratchit, though his name was neither Bob nor Doug. Teacher got a PON virus alert on their laptop, projected to around 60 people. Started asking who knew how to get rid of a hacker. That's actually quite common scamming technique. Message with PON allegations comes up. Hacker'll share your PON history with your family if you don't pay, and many people rather pay than ask for help. In reality, scammer has nothing on them, and the virus most likely came from a church website. In primary 4, Scotland, age 7/8, we had a teacher whose face would always turn rather red looking in the afternoons, and we could never figure out why. She was approaching middle age at this time, so we probably just assumed it to be a sign of aging. One day we saw her popping in and out of the walk-in stationery cupboard on a slightly more frequent basis, so we decided to have a sneaky look. It didn't take much digging around to find her stash of vodka. She was day drinking and teaching 7/8-year-olds at the same time. Had a government teacher who was a creepy old dude. There was a girl in class that had big breasts, so they hung out of her shirt a bit. The teacher would just stare off into her tits sometimes. Once he completely zoned out and stopped talking. Once during lecture he went right over to her and pulled up on her shirt to cover them up more and touch them some. No one knew what to say or do. We all just sat there shocked. On a similar note, when I was in university, we had this super hot girl. She was super smart and really cool. She was late for class once. She entered the room and asked the teacher, guy in his early 50s, very politely if she may stay for the class. He looked at her and said with the sleaziest tone ever, "Oh yes, of course you may." She was walking to her seat and he couldn't stop staring at her. Like, I get it man, she's hot, but don't be a duck in sleazeball. Old art teacher in high school had the desks arranged in a U shape in his room with his desk sitting in the opening of the U. He would have all the girls sit at the desks directly opposite him. In a school with mandatory school uniforms and girls only allowed to wear skirts, along with the naked Barbie dolls he had posed along the top of his blackboard lighting. This was insanely creepy. I had a maths teacher that was a known heavy drinker. He would often go to the local on a Friday lunch and fail to show up back at school until Monday. Was a really nice old boy. He would even sit and have a beer with us sixth formers. Was mad into cricket. I miss him. Was so very fragile, but very human. When I was in college, I had a 9 AM biology class. On the last day of lecture, the professor was drinking from a glass bottle of vodka. She said, "Don't worry, this is just water," and I was too naive to think twice about it at the time. Now, I really wonder what was going on.